Welcome back to Tales and Tangents, where every story starts somewhere familiar and then leads somewhere we never expected. I'm Indigo. Thank you for watching the channel. Thank you to my new subscribers. I really appreciate you. All right, so we're going to get into today's story. This is an inspirational story. I did some spooky stories, some drama, spooky drama. I think I did family drama, some love. So let's do something inspirational today. This one is called Doctor said I'd never walk again, but I ran 26 miles on my 30th birthday. So let's get into it. So the morning Amara crossed the finish line of the Chicago Marathon, she was crying so hard she could barely see the tape. She wasn't crying because she was tired. She was crying because 11 years earlier, 3 different doctors had told her that she would never walk again. 2 of them still follow her on Instagram. She's never tagged them in anything. She doesn't need to. This is the story of Amara and the 19-year-old girl still sitting in that hospital bed who she ran every one of those 26 miles for. September, Amara was 19 in her first year of university studying biochemistry. She was a passenger in a friend's car and someone ran a red light and that just changed her whole life. The driver was actually unhurt. The other passenger was treated and released the same night. Amara ended up with a spinal cord injury at the T10 vertebrae. Whoa. Doctors were honest with her family and then with her. They said the damage was significant. The prognosis was clear. She would not regain function below the waist. She should focus on building a full life from a wheelchair because that was the life she was going to have. So they were like, it doesn't make any sense to waste time. We just letting you know now you're wheelchair bound for the rest of your life. So, get adjusted to that. But she was 19 years old. That's young. I mean, you're still young. You still have so much life and vitality in you. You can still heal. All right, so she spent 3 days not speaking to anyone. Then she asked her mother to bring her some biochemistry textbooks. She was going to keep studying. It was the only decision she could make that felt like herself. So she tried to just zone out, which is the right thing to do. Get in your zone and get out of that. Get out of your head, whatever they're trying to tell you. 2 years after the accident, Amara was doing her own research. It was what she did. She was a scientist by nature, meticulous, rigorous, not easily impressed by claims that hadn't been tested. She attended a community rehabilitation session, mostly to get out of the flat. A physio student, 22 years old, on placement, was running exercises for group participants and made an offhand remark about an experimental protocol she read about for incomplete spinal cord injuries. So Amara's injury classification was not incomplete, but something about the conversation lodged in her mind, so it stuck out. She spent 6 months researching. She identified a consultant neurologist at a hospital in Germany with results that hadn't been replicated, but also hadn't been refuted. She wrote him, and he wrote back. That's amazing. See, when you have nothing left to lose, just go for it. It's like, what do you have to lose? The only thing you have to regret is sitting there and then thinking back on it a year later and say, well, if I did it, what could have happened if it worked out? So I'm glad for her. So what followed was not a miracle. This is important. This is the part people always wanted to skip over because it's uncomfortable. What followed was years of extremely painful, frequently discouraging, financially draining, and emotional brutal work. She isn't telling you it was worth it to make you feel inspired. She's saying it was worth it because it was. The difference matters. So the protocol involved electrical stimulation combined with intensive physiotherapy, sometimes 6 hours a day. There were long stretches where nothing changed. There were months where she regressed. There was a surgery at 24 that nearly killed her from a blood clot, and a 4-month recovery that wiped out 2 years of physical progress and almost wiped out her will to continue completely. So I had a conversation with myself on the day I got out of that second hospital stay. She told a journalist last year. I said, "You can stop. You've already done more than anyone thought possible. You don't owe this to anyone, not even yourself. But if you stop, stop because you choose to, not because fear made the choice for you." And then she didn't stop. The first time she stood unassisted was a Thursday morning in February. She was 26. She stood for 11 seconds before her legs gave way. She sat back down and pressed her hands to her face and didn't move for a very long time. She took her first unassisted steps at 27. She walked a mile without stopping for the first time at 28. She signed up for a 5K at 29. She finished it in 54 minutes. Last in her age group, first in her own. She turned 30 on a Sunday in October. She chose in Chicago because it was flat, because she trained for 18 months, because her mother was going to be at the finish line in Chicago. The race took her 6 hours and 41 minutes. She walked sections of it. She stopped twice when her legs cramped beyond what she could manage through movement alone. She ate 2 energy gels that tasted like sadness and just kept going. I remember those energy gels, the goos, and I used to like them. Her mother spotted her within about 20 meters to go. She said later that she didn't recognize Amara at first, not because of distance, but because of the expression on her face. She'd never seen it before, not in 30 years of knowing her daughter. She said it looked like a rival, like someone coming home to a place they built themselves. So Amara still walks with a cane on difficult days. She doesn't run regularly. Her body isn't built for it, and she's at peace with that. She works as a research scientist. She works as a research scientist and does some consulting work for rehabilitation programs. She gives one lecture a year at a hospital near where she grew up to inpatients with spinal injuries. She tells them the same thing every time. Doctors aren't always wrong, but they don't know everything that's in you, and neither do you. Not yet. She ran those 26 miles for a 19-year-old who was told her story was over, but it was just the beginning. That's pretty dope. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's very, very inspiring. I love that. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl. Amara, you are a lot like myself. I'm determined. Some people are very determined, and you can't won't just accept like this is the end, especially with regard to yourself and your own capabilities. People, it's like you can doubt yourself, fine, but you can't doubt someone else. You don't know their capabilities. So I feel that her saying, okay, I understand you guys say I can't do it, it can't be done, but I'm gonna try anyway. Shout out to her for that.